Good evening, everybody. It is, let me get this right, Tuesday the 16th of April. Gosh, again, April. My goodness, how are we in April already? Anyway, I hope you're well. And what can I say, except today has been an interesting day where I have learned so much about you guys. I apologise again for the Belgian bun fracas fiasco, whatever you want to call it. You made me laugh so much. It just did not even occur to me. But yeah. Anyway, so there will be, like, at some point, Belgian bun sugar mice coming, but nothing to do with female anatomy. Anyway, I am once again sitting sideways. I can see that Nick is here as well from Germany. Oh, hello. I'm learning German, kind of, sort of, but not really very much at the moment. I'm doing my best. And tonight I thought I would share with you another first, actually. Contrary to all expectations, I am not going to be doing a sugar mouse today, but I have something to reveal to you. The beautiful spring trees that Rachel has made for the wee creatures. She's also made these, which are like single trees with a smaller base. And I've just been waiting for the opportunity to actually do something with them. And I'm going to do that tonight. Can I just check, first of all, Nick, if you are there, can you hear me okay? Can you see me okay? I'm getting the occasional message that my connection is slow, in which case I may switch over to my mobile data rather than Tinternet, like my neighbours. I use their Wi-Fi for this sort of thing. So could you tell me if everything is okay? And if I can't hear anything from you, then that perhaps suggests that this connection is too slow. So I think what I may well do is just switch over to mobile data and see if that makes a difference. So sorry about this. Just okay. I don't think have I done one with the Wi-Fi before? Tell me if that's any better, because I've now put on I've put it on mobile data, so hopefully it'll go with whichever's the fastest speed. And anyway, here I am again. Right, I will assume that all is well, although if you have left a comment, I haven't seen it, if there is one, but fingers crossed, everything's okay. I want to make a hedgehog tonight. It's been a long time since I made a hedgehog, such a long time, and I know Alison, who always posts the most amazing comments here, has got lots of hedgehog visitors in her garden, and Hayley, my roommate, is looking after a hedgehog. She's a hedgehog mum at the moment, so why not a hedgehog for this? So what I thought would be really cute would be to have a hedgehog with some cherry blossom in its prickles, because it's a spring tree. So we'll see how that goes. I'm not sure. Again, I feel like I'm working in the dark a bit here, so do please shout if there's anything not working properly, or if there's anything which I can do to make things work better. I still am getting an intermittent slow connection message. It might be the response to the weather, because let's be honest, I mean, the weather here now, it's just becoming, the sun's starting to set now. But it has been a bit blustery, a bit rainy, very, very early spring weather, basically, which has been rather lovely, but still quite, yes, very early spring. Now, I'm actually just going to nip over to my Tinternet and see whether it's working okay on my laptop. Oh, excellent. You have been commenting. I'm just not seeing the comments on my phone at all. Thank you so much. Wonderful. Right. Okay. Well, if you can see and hear everything, I just can't see your comments just now. I'm not sure why it's not showing up on my phone, but I can read them on my laptop, which is off to my right. I always have to think about that. Which way is left and right? I don't know whether anybody else is the same. I call it being directionally dyslexic. So I really have to, I'm more likely, if I'm saying you have to go right, then I'll point right rather than try and say it. It just makes my life a little bit easier. Anyway, so I am going to recap for anybody here who didn't hear me at the beginning, but this is good that it's there. Hedgehog, going to be sitting on this lovely single tree. So I've not done one for this size before. I'm kind of guessing that a 5-gram ball of hedgehog clay will be enough, but we shall see. Hedgehog, I have made a hedgehog once before, and they're funny actually because they look very naked, much as I suppose like normal hedgehogs would look without their prickles. Because I make them skinnier than normal creatures because the other half of them is prickles. So it kind of, they are odd looking to begin with. But let's see how far I can get with these. And I'll see whether that's going to be the right size first of all. This is 5 grams of clay I'm using, which is smaller. Normally when I'm making full size hedgehogs, I'll use 8 grams for the tan clay, and then putting all the prickles on just gives it an awful lot more weight on top of that. But this is 5 grams, so it's a bit smaller. So let's see how it goes. I bet you all thought I was going to be making Belgian bun sugar mice tonight. I've been thinking about them though and working out how to do it. I've also been planning some cinnamon whirls, Danish cinnamon whirls, as well as the other pastry cinnamon whirls. Basically, round cakes are going to work best for hedgehogs, which is why the hot cross buns worked so well. So please do shout or type loudly in full capitals so that I can hear you, and tell me other cakey bun ideas, and yeah, I'll see what I can do. They're so much fun to make. They really are. I love a challenge, as you know. Right, okay, I think, as you see, I've been engaging in flob removal as I've been talking there. And I forgot to top up with tea, which is like, oh no! So we're just blethering tonight rather than brewing, but I shall do my best. Right. Okay, let's see how that's going to work. Yep, that looks like quite a good shape. His prickles will probably spill over the back a little bit because they'll come out like that round him, if you see. So I've got to kind of try and make him not too fat so that they stick all the way out. But let's go from here. Let's see what happens. Right. So how have you, actually, I'm going to ask you how you've all been doing, and I can't read any of the comments on my phone. I don't know why, but there you go. So I will catch up, but do please tell me how you all are, what you've been up to, and I will catch up with the comments later. In the meantime, I will just carry on blethering away as best I can. I am still managing to keep the studio pretty clean and pretty tidy, although it could do with a hoover. But yes, I make a point of making sure that my laptop, my computer area is clear at the end of each night, because I think even if my clay workbench isn't quite as clean and tidy or neat as it was before, at least my computer area can be. And it makes a difference, actually. I really want to keep this place clean. It's such a lovely place to work in. It's just lovely. Right, more flop. There we go. Now, it's quite warm in here, actually. Funnily enough, it's amazing just how the heat is starting to finally come through, thank goodness. But it does mean working with the clay can be a bit sticky, hit and miss. The first batch of sugar mice, the hot cross bun sugar mice that I made, I actually had to leach out. Well, actually, both batches. I'm in the middle of the second batch at the moment, and I had to leach out extra polymer, the plasticizer that makes it soft like this. But it's very easy to do. If ever, I don't know whether you'll be planning to work with polymer clay anytime soon, but if you are, then do, if it's too soft to work with, roll it out fairly flat and stick it between 2 bits of paper, just normal bits of paper. Put a heavy book on them, a book which won't get stained, or put something else under the book so the book doesn't get stained, and leave it for a bit. Put it under a brick, actually. Bricks are really good. Some heavy weight anyway, preferably something which won't get stained. and leave it for a couple of hours overnight if you want, and then in the morning it will be a lot stiffer and the paper will be discoloured on either, you know, top and bottom, which is, again, as I say, don't put it on something which is likely to stain. So that's what I did with the last batch of hot cross bun dough, as it were. And yes, it just makes such a huge difference. It makes it much, much easier to work with when it's a little bit stiffer. Right, I'm now rolling out prickles, and I will just flatten that through the what's it called, the pasta machine, on the thickest setting. There we go, and I'll put the eyes in now as well. So, eye box is imminent. It is coming. It is coming. Right, and because he's going to have prickles over there, normally I have a nose to kind of guide where the eyes are going, but that'll work out. And the other thing is, because I'm going to be handling the clay a lot, I've got to be careful that the eyes don't deform or get squished out of shape. So, but it always helps to have their eyes in early, because it makes them come to life. It makes them alive. Right, eye box here. Now, I'm not sure that these will be, in fact, no, I'm going to use up a size. These are the 2mm beads. I'm going to use the 2.5mm beads instead. I actually had to get these specially made up from, well, I use a jewellery place near Huddersfield, and they get them made up from their suppliers in China, I presume. So they are exactly sort of between 2.5 and 2.7 millimeters in diameter. I'm sure I've shared that with you before. And they've done a very good job, actually. There's not quite so much hit and miss with the eye size as there has been with some of the purchases I've made on eBay. Right, okay, let's just get that. Normally, as you know, I'm kind of leaning over it without my glasses on, so I can see. Actually, that's just managed to do that there. Right, there's one. And there's the other. Right. And I won't put his nose on until the end, because the nose will get mashed, and it's important just to keep it on to the last, or wait until the last minute, so that it doesn't, basically. And just eyes in, very gently. I'm still getting the slow connection message on my phone, but hopefully all is well. Oh, I see we have Rachel as well as here too, and Nick is here. Oh, Cinnamon Shop here now, excellent. And of course Alison. Brilliant, brilliant. Well, I'm glad it's working on one end anyway, regardless of whatever messages I'm getting. Right. That will do for now. Okay, now to cut the prickles, which they are quite sort of, I'm sure I have made a hedgehog. But it's been a long time since I last did one, and I do feel as though I've been neglecting them a little bit. So I cut very small prickles for the front, and then larger ones for the rest of the body. And basically, it's just a question of cutting out each one and then placing them whilst minimising contact with the hedgehog. That's the idea. And I really want to have time, if hopefully there will be, to make some flower blossoms and see how they go. Because I've got a very tiny cutter which I could use, but I'm going to have to make sure that the clay is extremely thin. And I may have to play around with possibly par baking it, so it's sort of marginally hard to begin with. And I'm making them into clusters, you know, like cherry blossom comes in the most wonderful little clusters, and it would be nice not to just have them looking as though I've just stuck them on like confetti. But maybe that's how it'll have to be. We shall see. So I'll have to roll out more clay I've never actually counted how many individual prickles there are, but I suspect that there's at least 40 and possibly about 50 that I do. Although there might be a few less because this hedgehog is a little smaller than normal. And I normally start the prickles first of all, before putting on his fringe, as it were. Then I'll start a little bit back, and his fringe will go at the front. So I can kind of get the shape of his hairline. Yeah, I could be a hairdresser in a different life, eh? Now, because it is quite warm, again, I am not needing to press too hard to adhere the clay to each other. That's fine. And do the same on the other side. Ambidextrous, you see. By doing this with the right hand, this with the left hand, it means I can keep them more or less the same. But I'm not really ambidextrous. It's not something I like to do, but it does work quite well for hedgehog prickles. Who'd have thought it, eh? And I don't know whether you can see, but already, because my thumb is quite hot, I have a hot thumb. Don't tell everybody, they'll all want one. I'm just getting my wet wipe out, and I'm just going to cool that off a little bit and get rid of the worst of the flob. There you go. So yes, this is the thing is with hedgehogs, I need to hold them because you've still got to apply some pressure to the prickles to keep them in the one place. Right, so he's now a bit of a one-dimensional hedgehog, just with one row of prickles. They do make me laugh at this stage. And before I go any further, I shall put on his fringe because that helps to make him look a bit more normal. And I'm just pressing it quite thin at one, making it into a wedge basically. I'll get my medium extender for that. And then just a little dab of liquid clay so that it will stick in place. And there aren't many times when I'll actually use my clay shaper to push the clay into place, but this is one of those times if I need to. It's funny, I mean, when I first made hedgehogs, I sort of experimented with 2 or 3 prickles for the quiff, but for whatever reason, 2 work best. And this is what I mean about using the clay shaper just to blend in the side prickles. Now, I realised actually when I started, do you remember the tiny hedgehogs I made? The little ones which were like sugar mice? I must make some more of them because they were so cute. They really were. I really enjoyed them. I still have some of the Millefiori cane which I made for the prickles. But I realised then that hedgehogs have ears. I know this sounds really silly, that how did I not know that hedgehogs had ears? Of course, how do they hear? But I never have. My own hedgehogs never really have ears. In the same way that my polar bears don't have tails. And polar bears do apparently have tails. But I suppose this is what makes them quernus creatures. I think they would just look a bit odd now to give them ears and tails and whatever else was needed. Right, so now I'm just piecing them together. It's a bit like Tetris, making sure that that's just slightly too big. Shape it in a little bit. And he looks awfully like, the hedgehogs I think look like pine cones. And that's something that I want to play with at some point, but not quite yet. Right, so there's 2 layers of prickles, and before I get going, because I've only got 3 of these prickles left, so I'm going to have to roll out some more. And actually, these trees, Rachel's thinking about, I've got 5 of these, the individual ones, and I will be making either hedgehogs or other creatures for all of them for next week's shop event. I'm doing one on Wednesday at 8 o'clock. So there will be these guys, and for future Four Seasons trees, you'll be able to have either the single trees or the set of trees, but I think the set of trees just look brilliant, then it becomes a proper forest for them. Anyway, just going to roll out the next bit of set of prickles. So, and over the years I have tried different sizes of diamond cutters for cutting them, but these are the best. This is the best one because it doesn't have a sharp point, so it gives it a bit of a rounded edge. When I think about the amount of trial and error that I've done over the years, it's quite remarkable. I love it. I mean, I do make notes, not for every single creature, but for example, like for the hot cross bun sugar mice, that's the recipe for the hot cross bun dough. That's what I use when I'm making them up. Actually, that's probably enough prickles for the last of it now. Or maybe not, actually. I'll probably need a few more. I also stagger. Well, I do stagger if on occasion, but I stagger the prickles. It's been one of those days. It's all you guys with your Belgian bun and calendar girls jokes and everything. I haven't stopped laughing all day. It's all been mad. I love it. You're all wonderful. Anyway, yes, so I'm staggering the prickles so that they're not all in a line. They're not all in a clump. And putting the bottom section at an angle. That means that there's just no spaces between the prickles. Right. I'll tilt those round a little bit. Bring them to the front. Okay. And yeah, probably will need a few more. So yes, this is probably one of the reasons I don't make a lot of hedgehogs, because they do take quite a bit of time. They're definitely worth the effort for sure, because I do enjoy making them. But when I come to this point, so I've got sort of just a few spaces left which are just a bit too big for individual prickles. See what I mean about him being like a pine cone? Love it. Right. I shall just cut out some slightly smaller ones, and then it's a question of shaping the ends, squeezing them a bit thin so that they all fit in okay. And because I'm going to squeeze them, they'll get taller, so they've got to be a bit shorter. I tell you, the engineering of this is quite something. Right, there's one, and this is where I will just ease them in a bit. There we go, and I can do with one more here. I'll squeeze it in. That can go in here. There we go, and one more at least. There we go. Excellent. Right, okay. That's not bad prickle placement. There you go. And how's his tummy? Needs a little bit of TLC. Do please join my mailing list if you haven't already, because there are times when Facebook's down, and it's just another way of keeping in touch. I do not spam you. I do not bombard you. You'll get one email a month if you're lucky, and that will give you all what I'm doing for the course of the month. And yeah, it just means it's just another way of keeping an eye on what's going on in the creature world. But obviously, the what do you call it? The QA group, the Quernaholics Anonymous, is definitely the best place to come for day-to-day information and what's the word? Scandal. The scandal of the Belgian buns. Just, you know, it did not occur to me at all. One thing I was going to show you, actually, I'll just put him to one side because I'm just rolling out the paws now. Oh, what should he be holding? He probably needs to be holding some cherry blossom, actually. So I'll work on that as well. When I was moving house from Bramley, where I'd lived for 10 years before I met Enrique, and then I moved over here. Enrique and I did the move ourselves, and most of it was actually all Quernus stuff. There was so much stuff that we had to move. And we had a box of cherry bakewells just to keep us going. And I have this great photo of Enrique holding up 2 cherry bakewells with the cherries pointing out to his eyes. And so I sort of think of cherry bakewells and Belgian buns as eyes rather than anything else. But you guys have shown your true colours today. What can I say? I'm going to be all prim and proper. It's all very carry on. Very fnar. Right. That's the paw. Right. Okay. And you see that's looking pretty good height wise. Yeah. Yeah. He's coming on. Definitely coming on. Right. So I shall cut out his little paws now. And it'll be good actually. He'll have a bit of a rest while I do the blossom, the cherry blossom for him. So I'll do main paws. I may need to do bigger paws for his hands. But let's just get his feet on first of all. And I completely forgot to bring out some pink clay, which is useful. So I shall go and get that. If you can bear with me for just a second. And a bit of extender medium. And then tuck it under his body. And all the time I'm doing my very best not to press the prickles too much because they'll collapse in on themselves and it's not pretty. So yeah, he takes gentle handling until he's fully baked. And I'll just try and bring him forward a little bit. So there we go. All right, feet go. And feet. There we go. Okay, so he can sit on his little perch there for the time being. You can see that. Oh, let's give him his nose. He needs his nose, doesn't he? Can't leave the little, I mean, he can't smell. It's like, oh, how does your hedgehog smell? Awful. Was there not some, I can't remember who did that joke. I'm not very good at jokes, as you can probably tell. But yes, that's what goes through my head whenever I think of that joke. Whenever I hear that, he has no nose. Anyway, it's probably just as well I can't read your comments because there might not be anybody left to listen to me completely wittering on in utter witteriness. I'm so fortunate that you all bear with me whilst I witter. I do appreciate it. Particularly as, once again, I haven't really spoken to anybody today. There we go. Oh, you see, it just brings them to life. There you go. So he's got his paws, he's got his nose, doesn't have his ears, but then Quernus creatures don't need, Quernus hedgehogs, they have their ears hidden by their prickles. That's what I tell myself. So I'll be back just for the pink clay in just a second. Talk amongst yourselves. Yeah, there we go. Here we go. Yes, that is pink clay. And I think I won't need very much at all. Yeah, that's a good match. So, right, so this is going to be a bit of the experiment, actually, for doing the blossom, the cherry blossom. It may be that I need to spend a bit of time. I do actually have some of this air drying clay. Have you seen it? It's air drying polymer clay, which just sounds mad. It's quite hard to work with, but it's very, very light. I have made a couple of balloons out of it for a balloon creature commission, and it's great because it air dries. You know, you mold it and then you leave it, and then you've got this sort of foam. Very lightweight, very very strong, you know, it can't break. It's fabulous. So I may use that, may have to experiment with that and see how it goes. But for now, I shall do my best. Right, so I'm just, I know this is a tiny bit of clay. I'm going to roll it out as thin as I possibly can, and then stretch it out some more. Because I think cherry blossom really has to be sort of, has to be at least 2 layers thick. I was looking at, the blossom at the moment. It's just gorgeous. It's just lovely. So I was out for a walk today after a big heavy downpour, and I was admiring and looking very carefully at the cherry blossom and wondering how I could make it small enough. Because although this is, I've rolled this out onto the thinnest possible setting of the pasta machine, but it's still too thick. And this is why I think maybe the air drying polymer clay will be better, because it won't stick to itself. Well, it can do, but it doesn't stick to itself as much as polymer clay does. You can also put water on it, which kind of strengthens the join. I haven't got to grips with it all yet, and I will, and I'm looking forward to it. The stuff I've got is called silk clay. I think I got it from Hobbycraft. But I'd be interested if anybody else has played with it. You know, how they find it. I keep seeing sort of tutorials for it on Facebook, because Facebook spy on you, and they show, I mean, because I've been talking about it with somebody, then it showed up, and there you go. So let me just get my, right, so that's one tiny cutter, which is my little mini Kemper cutter, and I also got some from, oh, sorry, I'm just trying to get this over slowly. This is my pack pen collection. So that's another tiny one. These cutters are fabulous, by the way. I really like them. I don't use half of the ones here, but the ones I do use, I use all the time. It's fabulous. Interchangeable heads. They're so clever. I will post the details about where I get them if you don't know yet, because they are just marvellous. Right. So I am cutting out now a tiny. See, it's got tiny little fringe. It's so clever. It's much better than this one. This is a very basic shape. This one is laser cut, so it's actually got the indentation in the leaves, so it's much more realistic. But I think it needs to have 2 of them offset. Right, and this is where it's going to be interesting. We're experimenting now, guys. We're going in for the experiment. So let's see how it uses. Using a big doll art needle is what I want to do. This might be too pointy. In fact, it will be too pointy. What's at the centre of cherry blossom? Is that it's sort of like a collection, a cluster of stamen, isn't it? Can't think at the moment, but I think that's what it is. I'm not sure whether I'll be able to show that. Right, so what I'm doing now is gradually pressing up the petals on, oops, so that it creates a cherry blossom kind of effect. That might be enough, oops. That might be enough. Because the idea is that I would have him sort of sprinkled with cherry blossom. But I just have this idea that there needs to be 2 or 3 clumped together. Because they come in bunches, don't they? And this is where the air drying clay would probably be better than polymer clay, because it does deform more readily and sticks very easily between. So maybe I do a little cluster of 3. Let's see how that will work. So, 3rd one. These are fabulous. I do like them, I have to say. So if you work regularly with polymer clay, I can highly recommend them. Right. Gosh, this is fiddly work. I will get quicker at doing this once I've actually found the best way to do it. Yes, so what's the centre of a blossom? That's what I need to know so I can put one in. But the idea then would be just to have these joined together lightly and have that one in as well. So it's a little cluster of cherry blossom. Oh. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to play around with this. Ah! It's fabulous. It's just, it's magic that to be able to work on this scale and this size, but it is fiddly work. So yeah, I think that'll be the idea, but I need to find some way, because my hands aren't really delicate enough for this. All right. That is quite like a cherry blossom cluster, which will then just, I'll have to glue it in there. But basically, there's so much beautiful blossoms around. I'll have him covered in well, maybe not covered, but he'll certainly have it enough. Now the other option, actually, either, you see, here's me thinking out loud. You get to see how it goes. The other option, of course, is to do, oh, sorry, just getting another pack pen thing, is to do the individual blossoms, you know, because when they blow off the trees, then you just get the individual blossoms. So they would be more like a teardrop, more like just a petal. So I could just sort of have them, I could cut lots of them and sort of just have them loosely scattered, maybe with the occasional clump, so that there's no doubt as to what it is. Because I could see, I mean, if he had them sort of liberally sprinkled all over him, I think that would look rather, it would look very sweet. And I like these clusters, but I haven't got them sussed quite yet because they still need a center point. Right, that's something to plan and cogitate and to experiment with. And I think it's probably time for me to stop for now, and I'll finish this in the morning and of course share it with you once I've worked out how to make these ridiculously tiny and delicate cherry blossom spriglets. Spriglets? That's a good word. I like that. And then once I've got a couple of spriglets together, I'll probably give him, I'll give him a bouquet, or I'll give him a flower of some sort. I might just give him a giant blossom to hold. Because in fact, the sweetheart blossoms that I have, lots of the paper ones, would actually work quite well for him to be holding on to one of them. So that's an idea. Right. Okay. Plenty of food for thought there. It's been lots of fun experimenting with you guys, and apologies again that I've not been able to see any of your comments except when I look over on my laptop, and I see that you have been. Yes, Alison, he might have rolled in some of the petals. That's the idea. So yes, and it is indeed what hedgehog fashionistas are wearing. I love it. I love it. And the centre is pink. Yes, I need to look at a picture of some cherry blossom and get a good idea about how it goes. So I shall love you and leave you for tonight. Thank you so much for joining me, and thank you for giving me such a good laugh today. I so appreciate it. And I will share this little chap come the morning once he's got his flower and once he's covered in cherry blossom, because that's going to be fun. And watch this space for some Belgian bun sugar mice. Just sugar mice, okay? We'll just leave that there. All right, have a lovely evening, guys. Thanks again. See you soon. Bye.